Well, happy Monday. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Back at it with you. And I'm Greg Bishop here for the Center Square, focusing on what's happening in the land of Lincoln as we've got 2 weeks left for spring legislative session where they have to tackle a budget. Have yet to get all those details, maybe last minute by the time we get the details, where there'll be tax increases. Are we going to see a service tax implemented? Are we going to see $6 billion worth of different types of taxes against businesses and the like? Obviously, we'll be watching closely as all of that comes together behind closed doors, but then obviously when it gets onto a table where the pack of paper is going to be stacked pretty high. So good morning to everybody. Thanks for being part of the program. Obviously, if you want to take part in the live program, you can join the live chat. And there's a great group of people in there who tune in each and every weekday morning. And they have conversations about what we're talking about here to give you the latest. So Let's just briefly touch on what we're going to get to. All right, we'll talk a little bit about the budget. The governor last week being asked about the spending plan, while Republicans continue to criticize the possibility of, number one, having the largest state budget in state history, but then also the possibility of tax increases. What's the governor say about the possibility of revenue enhancements, as some call it at the State House, but really all that is just tax increases on you? Will it be, the thing the governor welcomes in the budget if he has tax increases, or is he saying that we've got enough money coming in to do what we need to do? We'll hear what he has to say, and also we'll hear from State Representative Jennifer Sanalitro about some of what she says are the possibility of service taxes. So that's coming up. But up next, if you're looking to go out and buy some ammunition, you may not be able to do that Tuesday. Illinois State Police, they're taking down a website for maintenance that firearms retailers have to use to check firearm owner ID cards. So we'll talk about that. I'll share with you a conversation I had with Dan Eldridge from Maxon's Shooter Supplies and Firing Range. Next up here with Illinois in Focus Daily, I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us here each and every weekday morning live with Illinois in Focus Daily, only with the Center Square here on YouTube.
It's just pretty bad that we're looking at a software upgrade that's going to curtail constitutionally covered behavior.
It's Dan Eldridge. He is the owner of Maxon's Shooter Supplies and Indoor Range, talking with me last week about a note they got from Illinois State Police concerning a website that firearms retailers have to use in order to verify firearm owner ID cards in the state of Illinois. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us each and every weekday morning as we break down things for you to know as you get your day started. So go to the website, thecentersquare.com, where you'll see the headline and also where you can sign up for newsletters. Each and every day you get the top headlines in your inbox. But just go to thecentersquare.com. Retailer warns state police website maintenance could pause firearms sales. And you can actually see this for yourself if you go to the website for the Illinois State Police Firearms Services Bureau. You will see this note. It says, due to system maintenance, this portal will be inaccessible from 2 p.m. on Tuesday, May 20th, that's tomorrow, through 4 p.m. on Wednesday, May 21st. That is, again, Wednesday. So the Illinois State Police, they did send me a statement, and if you follow me on X, you will see the statement posted there on my X page. Just go to Bishop on Air, and you'll be able to see it. Let me pull it up here so that you can see it for yourself. They sent me a statement after I, of course, published the story, but they said that the system that Illinois State Police uses for FOID is 11 years old and in need of an upgrade. While enhancements have been made over the years, the system will be down temporarily for an overall upgrade that will help us ensure law enforcement, firearms retailers, and residents are able to access FOID information expeditiously. On May 7th, 2025, we began alerting users that access will be unavailable from 2 p.m. May 20th, 2025 through 4 p.m. on May 21st, 2025, so they could plan to purchase ammunition ahead of time. Firearm sales will still be processed within the statutory time, 72 hours. We appreciate the public's patience while we make this necessary improvement to ensure our system is operating efficiently to provide the best customer service. So that's Illinois State Police essentially saying, hey, this is happening, but firearms retailers finding out about this by just going to the website to run FOID cards, which again, Illinois is one of 4 states that requires some kind of state-issued identification in order for people to buy firearms and possess firearms. In Illinois, you have to have a FOID card. If you want to buy ammo, you have to have a FOID card. Here's Dan Eldridge from Maxon's Shooters, Supplies, and Indoor Range talking about how they found out about this and his concerns about what this means for Illinois gun owners.
So starting yesterday, we got a system message when we validate FOID cards that the FOID validation system will be down. And it'll be down depending on whether you believe the pop-up or the message itself. It'll be down between 2 p.m. Tuesday, May 20th to 7 a.m. Wednesday, May 21st, although the actual webpage says 4 p.m. Wednesday, May 21st. Now, this is a big issue because FOID cards now have no expiration date, and I would say that we maybe half or more of the FOID cards that we see are the new no expiration date FOID cards. And to validate that FOID card for ammo purchases, we have to hit up the FOID validation system. That's what's going to be unavailable. So we'll be unable to sell ammunition. We also can't verify eligibility on a firearm sale. Now, with the 72-hour wait, maybe we just run it when the system comes back up, if the system comes back up. There's also eFOID, which would be an electronic version of the FOID card. But it's unreasonable to expect people to know their ISP logins, et cetera, off the top of their head. Most people don't walk around with that information. We also don't know if the eFOID system will be available. Presumably, they're driven by the same underlying systems at the state police, so probably that won't be available. It's just pretty bad that we're looking at a software upgrade that's going to curtail constitutionally covered behavior.
And again, this is because Illinois has the firearm owner ID card, which gun owners have to get in order to not just purchase or possess, but own in their own home. Now, the FOID card does face lawsuits in state court. We'll talk about another lawsuit that Gun Save Life had in state court coming up. But, you know, I asked Eldridge, this wouldn't happen if we didn't have a FOID card in Illinois, right?
That's right, and that's an excellent point. This just further undermines the case for continuing with the FOID card. This is very poorly conceived. We have notified the state police of our concerns at the highest levels, and so one would hope that they will prevail upon whoever their software engineers are to maybe do their upgrades overnight, or have a side-by-side system running while they update one. and keep the other in production.
Yeah, it does seem kind of interesting that they would just take the site completely offline instead of having like some parallel, server staying alive so people can continue to process FOID cards. But then that parallel server doing the upgrades to where the overnight hours, whenever the upgrades are done, they can just switch the server back out. Anyways, so again, tomorrow through Wednesday, you are not going to be able to go to a firearms retailer to purchase ammunition. You may be able to start that process of purchasing a firearm, but, it's kind of the reality of here in the state of Illinois. I asked Eldridge, so what? So retailers aren't going to be able to sell for a day. They're not going to be able to have their customers purchase ammo because they can't validate their FOID card through the ISP website. So what?
Well, that's, I think that's perfectly okay, Greg. You know what? If 10's good, let's make it 24 or 72 or whatever. No, I mean, it's completely unacceptable, both as a business person for the state to say, sorry, you can't do business for 10 hours, 10 operating hours, but also as an Illinois resident and United States citizen who may want to buy a gun or buy ammo. It's completely unacceptable.
And I do want to go back to what Illinois State Police said in their statement to me after I got my story published on Friday. It said that they have began alerting users that access will be unavailable so they could plan to purchase ammunition ahead of time. Do you go to the website each and every day, to the Firearm Services Bureau website, to see if it's up and running as a consumer, as just somebody who has a FOID card? Do you check that before you go and purchase ammo at your local firearms retailer? Who is it that they say they began alerting users just to the website? Obviously, firearms retailers use the website quite a bit because here in the state of Illinois, they have to validate FOID cards for similar purchases like ammo and, through the process of the 72-hour waiting period for firearms in the state of Illinois. So it's just interesting. Did you know about this before you heard about it, either by reading my story Friday or just now you're learning about it? So who are the users that were alerted? Either way, is there a potential for a lawsuit here? Here's Eldridge again in that question I asked him on Friday.
I don't know. I'm hoping that this leads to a rational fix. I mean, this is not software upgrades are not like splitting an atom. This should be able to be accomplished overnight. And frankly, if it's a software upgrade that's going to take 28 hours to accomplish, or 26 hours to accomplish, I'm nervous about the system coming back to life after they're done with it.
I mean, think about that. You got a firearms retailer there that's nervous that the website they have to use to validate FOID cards for legal purchases of ammunition, not even firearms, but ammunition. He's worried the website may not come back up after 10 hours of it scheduled to be down for business hours. So tomorrow, that's going to happen. A lot of people watching what happens in the courts when it comes to the firearm owner ID card. One case that we have followed, maybe not as closely because it's in state courts, and that is the case that Gun Save Life had against the FOID card. Well, it was in an appeals court, an appeals panel sided with the state. And Gun Save Life is not going to appeal that. And if you look at Shooting News Weekly, an article that John Bach from Gun Save Life contributed there says Gun Save Life won't appeal our loss in the FOID card challenge case. Here's why. So he goes through the background, 2-1 decision in the 4th District of State Appellate Court, not federal court. This isn't federal court. This is state court. In our challenge to the FOID card, yes, the FOID card mandate's clearly unconstitutional, Bach says, and yes, there's no historical analog for the FOID card in colonial times. However, 2 judges ruled against us, ignoring all of that, as well as the Bruin precedents, to reach their respective creative opinions, citing against us. So it goes on to give more background about this case. Then it also talks about why they're not going to appeal this. So Bach says, for strategic reasons, Gun Save Life will not appeal the faulty decision from the 4th, again, State court, not federal court. Yes, this is a contradiction to what the NRA Illinois release stated in its last line. Here's why. We don't expect the Illinois Supreme Court to rule our way. Not when the U.S. Supreme Court flat out refuses to hold lower courts accountable for regularly ignoring the Second Amendment and the Bruin precedent. If we lost in the Illinois Supreme Court and then petitioned for a writ of certiorari from the U.S. Supreme Court, we're not at all confident that the Supreme Court of the United States would accept the case. In fact, given the recent posture of John Roberts and crew towards strong gun rights cases, our legal team believes an appeal in our case would be rejected outright. So yes, aggressively advocating, including litigation, has its place. Moreover, we owe a great debt of gratitude to the National Rifle Association's Institute for Legislative Action and for their behind-the-scenes help in filing. We have the support of NRA-ILA in making this final decision not to pursue appeal. They believe this is the right course of action. Sometimes we need to think a few steps ahead. After all, we're not playing checkers here. So that is, again, from John Bach, writing through Gun Save Life for Shooting News Weekly. But we still have the other FOID card challenge out of White County. That continues on. The Illinois Supreme Court could have a third bite at that apple to deal with that particular case. Pretty fascinating. And I did check some of the federal court dockets on the gun ban challenge. No updates there. Still waiting on the plaintiffs to file their reply to the state, which had to file its reply to the district judge saying it was unconstitutional to ban firearms that are in common use. So that case is still going on. May 28th this month, we've got the Schoenthal case. That's the prohibition on mass transit of concealed carry. The district judge there said that's unconstitutional. It's in the appeals court, so oral arguments are there. May 28th. And you've also got, do we have Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court order list coming out today? Let me just look that up. If so, you're going to have that pop in here in about 12 minutes. So let's pull up the calendar here to see if indeed the U.S. Supreme Court is going to be releasing orders. Order lists will be released at 9:30 their time. So we'll get this pulled up and see if that happens coming up here in about 12 minutes as we go live with Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Each and every weekday morning, you can join the program, join the live chats. If you can't do that, totally understand. You can catch segments of this show after the fact, and you can watch the entirety after the fact, but you can also get the podcast where you get podcasts. Just search Illinois in Focus and you'll find it. And you can get more information about what we do at the Center Square. Go to thecentersquare.com and stay plugged in with what's going on in your states. Again, I'm Greg Bishop. Follow me anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air. There be tax increases for the new spending plan in the state of Illinois, or will they just keep it level, taxes where we're at, and spend the most it's ever spent? It's a big question. We're not sure yet. Here as we watch as observers here for the Center Square. I'm Greg Bishop. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. So final 2 weeks here of legislative session. They're off today. They're back Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Then they're off for the weekend. They're off Monday, Memorial Day, but they're scheduled back in next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, which is May 31st. And that is constitutionally in the state of Illinois, the date that they have to pass the budget by with simple majorities. And if you look at the calendar, that allows the governor to have a full 30 days to review bills. That way, bills that are enacted July 1st, like the budget, he has 30 days to review it, and then he can sign it, and then it can go into effect July 1st. So that's why May 31st is that date that they have to approve the budget with simple majorities. They can approve it after the fact, but it's going to take super majorities. And if you were watching us last year, you'll notice that they had a hard time getting across the finish line last year. There were Democrats that did not want to support the budget. and they had a hard time finding just the simple majorities. So they had really I think they took like 3 votes on it or something. Will that happen this year? And will there be possible tax increases? Obviously, it's something that we're watching closely. We're already going to see a gas tax increase July 1st of every year since 2019. When they doubled the gas tax, they tacked on an annual increase tied to inflation. And that's going to happen July 1st. So your gas tax is going to go up yet again in the state of Illinois. Illinois already has among the highest gas taxes. You drive across the border into Missouri and you're looking at like 50 cents cheaper gas. It's pretty incredible. But so there are going to be some tax increases that are already baked in. But what other kinds of tax increases will there be? Or is the governor going to hold the line on that? Well, let's see what the governor had to say last week. He was asked about the budgeting process at an unrelated event, and this is what he had to say about where things are at and how he says they've got enough money to do what needs to be done in the state of Illinois.
Listen, putting budgets together is hard anytime, and especially, you may recall that when I first came into office, we had come through 2 years without a budget, the longest any state has ever gone without a state budget, any state in the history of the United States. We had real challenges to overcome to get a budget passed that year, a balanced budget, I might add. And every year we've passed a balanced budget, proving to the credit rating agencies, which had taken us down 21 notches in a quarter century, 21 credit downgrades. Think about that, consistently, not one upgrade in the middle of all that, just down. And since I took office, we have got 9 credit upgrades because we passed balanced budgets, even in tougher years. This is certainly a tough year, but I will remind you that if you look around the country, every state is facing this challenge right now. It's partly because of the slowdown or the expected slowdown of the overall economy since the new administration came into office. And it's partly because some states put what were one-time funds that came from the ARPA COVID-19 rescue plan into operating dollars that needed to be maintained from year to year to year. We were very careful in the state of Illinois to pay off debt, to put it into one-time things, that we knew we didn't need to come back to. And the result is that our budget challenge is actually relatively small. I say that just today or yesterday evening, I read a story that Maryland had a credit downgrade, and it really is no fault of their own. It just happened. They had a budget deficit, and they had a hard time overcoming the budget deficit. Theirs is much larger on a percentage basis. So I'm just saying, we'll get there. It's hard. Nobody likes to have to, tighten the belt and make it all work. But our tightening is I think, reasonable. We'd all like to have more resources, but I think the funding is there to do the things that we absolutely must do.
So does that mean we're not going to have tax increases? If the governor's saying that he thinks the funding's there to do what we need to do in the state of Illinois. Again, he proposed a $55 billion budget, largest spending plan in state history. And if you recall last week, we talked about the Department of Government Efficiency in Illinois, groups outside of government looking at government spending and how $1 billion has been going out to non-government organizations. Maybe there's some chances to shore up some funds to focus on whatever programs that people want instead of increasing taxes. Is that a possibility? Republicans decrying the proposed spending plan, saying it's too much. And also the process. Every year we hear about the process. Yeah, there are budget negotiators from both sides that end up getting together and that get the final details, but behind closed doors, it's a partisan process where Democrats are behind closed doors in the supermajority crafting the budgets, laying out what they want, what their pet projects are going to be, maybe what NGOs in their district are going to get funds and the like, as Republicans are left out of those closed door partisan working group meetings. And Republicans have their own closed door partisan working groups, but again, Republicans in Illinois in the House and the Senate are in the minority. It's the majority party, the Democrats. We've already seen also some Democrats that push back against spending not having their place at the table. State Representative Fred Crespo, he is, I guess some people would consider a moderate Democrat. He was chair of an appropriations committee in the House, and he has now been removed from that chairmanship, which chairman of the various committees, they get an extra stipend on top of their base pay, so he actually had some of his pay cut as a state legislator by House Speaker Chris Welch. And that's fascinating as you've got the possibility of people pushing back on more spending, not having themselves as prominently within the legislative process as they may want to be. State Representative Jennifer Sanalitro took to the House floor Friday and shared these thoughts with her colleagues about where they're at in the budgeting process and the possibility that there could be more tax increases down the pike.
Folks, here we are, a few weeks from our budget deadline, and Illinois remains in major financial trouble. We don't even have enough money to cover all the state's spending. And instead of cutting waste, the answer being pushed, like always, is more taxes. There's a new proposal floating around to add taxes on over 80 everyday services. That means new taxes on things like beauty services, streaming apps, dry cleaning, handyman services, plumbing, pet grooming, car repair, and even your nails. This hurts working families, seniors, and small businesses the most. A single mom gets home from work to find a broken dishwasher and has to hire a repairman, now gets taxed. An elderly couple hires lawn care services, now gets taxed. Hardworking young person trying to find and save for their first home goes to get their monthly haircut, now gets taxed. I would go as far to say that service-based small business owners and their customers are being targeted by this proposal. Let's be honest, this isn't a fix. It's a cash grab stick up, and the taxpayers are the ones about to get robbed again. We need to say no to this service tax hike and start making responsible choices. Let's put taxpayers first, stop growing government, and start defending the people we represent. They demand it. Thank you.
Again, that's State Representative Jennifer Sanalitro talking about the possibility of tax increases on services. Listen, the service tax has been talked about for practically every year at the State House that I've been watching. Sometimes it's just floated as an idea. Other times it's filed as legislation. What's going to happen these next 2 weeks? If you're not already plugged into the show each and every weekday morning, which, I mean, we've got 160 people watching right now, several dozen taking part in the live chat, thousands of people watch every morning on replay or the segments. These next 2 weeks, if you're a taxpayer in Illinois, you're going to want to stay as plugged in as possible. So hopefully you're finding some value in each and every weekday morning waking up with Illinois in Focus to take a look at what's going on at the State House, because we're going to have a lot of it. And again, it's not just the budget. There's all kinds of things. Are they going to advance that Homeschool Act to regulate homeschool? Are they going to advance the Safe Gun Storage Act to require safe gun storage and lost and stolen reporting of firearms? Are they going to move forward with a whole host of other things? We'll be watching it all and bringing it to you here with Illinois in Focus Daily. All right, so get the newsletter, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and wake up with us here each and every weekday morning on YouTube with The Center Square. Let's see here. Let's pull up the Supreme Court's website. See if we can get this refreshed. It's 8:30 our time. So I'm refreshing. We're doing this together live. Do it live. All right. Refresh. There it is. Order list. Let's pull that up. A little bit of zoom in. Control F. Snope. Nada. Zilch. No Snope. No Snope case. What week is this? Is this like week 15 now? What about the ocean case? Which I gotta say I'm not super familiar with. Gotta do some more research on that one. Maybe you guys in the chat room know about it. So no ocean case either. Relisted. Relisted. What are you gonna do about it? It's the Supreme Court, highest court of the land. 15 weeks, Brian says. Appreciate that, guys. All right, I gotta get out of here. Shout out to everybody in the chat room for the live show. Just going through it here. Dave DeHunter, AJ, David, Patriot, Christopher, Pat, Bob. I said quiet in there. Know who that is, but that's cool. Tracy, good morning. Tattooed Squirrel. Captain Mike, it was good to meet you the other day. Patrick, Jack, Tenebris, James, Amy. Very, very nice to have you guys in here with me this morning. Fong Jr., Patrick, John, Dangerous Liberty, Keith K. Who else we got in here? Dave. Stanky Skunk. Oh, it's good stuff. James, good morning. Oscar Mike, what's up? Brian, shout out. Who else we got? Quite a few. All right, it's Monday. And I'm going to get out of here and get to going. WBW, what's up? Who else? Gary? Randall? I'm just naming off names now. All right. Sorry, I kind of got a little case of the Mondays. All right, we'll see you here tomorrow morning here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, get the newsletter. And if you have it in you and you want to help us here at the Center Square, go to the website, thecentersquare.com, and you can donate today. We're a nonprofit newswire service focused on getting news out with the taxpayer's perspective and how their government is impacting them. So go and get that newsletter and donate at thecentersquare.com. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, for Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Follow me anywhere. Just search Bishop on Air.